What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm here with Salazar. He's a lender down here in Tucson, and we're gonna be talking about if you're in your 20s and if you want to buy a house, this video is exactly for you. So, Caleb, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself?
What's going on, guys? My name is Caleb Salazar. I run the Salazar group here at Cross Country Mortgage. Born and raised in Tucson. We've been doing this for a handful of years now. We've been working together. And one of our biggest passions is helping other young people attain home ownership.
So Caleb, you work with a lot of clients here in Tucson, and a lot of them are first-time home buyers. So the purpose of this is just kind of educate the public as to what they can do to buy a house in the 20s now. So I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions and just be fully transparent and let me know what you think. So in your experience in working with homeowners, what are the biggest financial hurdles you see like young buyers face here in Tucson when buying houses?
The affordability, home prices have gone up, interest rates are a little bit higher, and especially as you're in your early 20s, you're not really making as much as you are going to be when you're in your 30s and 40s. That can create a hurdle. Now, we shoot ourselves in the foot because the other thing that I see a lot is consumer debt. Right, we're in the generation where we want to be flashy, we want to impress others, and the difficult thing is that having that $500,000, $600,000 car payment or the nice truck can also impact you and can become a great hurdle for you to be able to buy a house.
So that's actually a great point of transition into. So what are you see a lot of files, so what are the top 3 biggest things you see people our age make before buying a house?
So I think the biggest mistakes, one is rushing into it, right? Not being properly equipped, waiting till the end of their leases, or buying outside of their means. And what I mean by that is, yes, affordability is difficult right now. However, I see a lot of people max themselves out where they can't actually set themselves up because, in the training program that we're in, we also not only teach home ownership, we also teach wealth, right? And I think that's a big factor where, you got a lot of young people who have that FOMO of not being able to own a home. But then when they go out and buy, they're way outside their means, so then they can no longer invest or save for retirement.
And then in my experience too with working with first-time home buyers, I constantly see is before buying the house, they have a huge Razor that they bought, or they buy like 2 trucks. So can you kind of what are your thoughts on that? Like, how has that had a negative impact for people trying to buy houses when they have those car payments?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just people wanting to upgrade their lifestyle right away, right? So you get a job promotion or you get a new salary position coming out of college. You are on top of the world, so therefore you think you can kind of afford everything at the same time. That becomes a big issue because when you're buying a home, we have to look at everything, right? Even down to, especially during the holiday seasons, we're constantly reminding our clients that, hey, affirms count as debt. Any of those, buy now, pay later types of, installments, those are also debts.
Did you know that's like $1 billion industry now?
It is, yeah. And I see it all the time where that honestly creates so many issues on the lending side because right now during the holiday season, people want to have the greatest Christmas ever, but they can't actually afford the things that they're wanting to buy, so they go ahead and do those afterpays and installment loans.
And then does somebody having a higher debt impact the rate?
It can in some cases. For a lot of conventional loans, the higher the rate, which means that, the higher the debt you have, the higher your ratios are going to be, which also creates more risk for a bank to be able to lend. So therefore, higher the risk means higher the interest rate.
So if we could dumb that down a little bit more, say one more time, dumb it down even more.
It really, when you're looking at being a perfect candidate to be able to buy a home, one, you want to have as good of a credit score as you can be. So being in more debt or having a lot of high balances on your credit cards, that will decrease your chances of having a higher credit score, right? It's going to lower them. So that is one thing that can impact. The second thing is going to be when you have a lot of debt, your ratios. So when we look at your overall expenses, say you have a $5,000 income a month, we cut that in half. So say $2,500 we're working with. If you have a $500 Razor payment, now you have to fit your mortgage with your Razor. So now your mortgage can only be at the very, very maximum $2,000.
So then you're capped out as to what you can buy.
Correct.
And so do you see a lot of families who are frustrated, like, Caleb, I make more money, why can't you qualify for more?
Exactly.
You see it a lot?
Yeah, we see that a lot, but then we also have to educate them in a sense of, hey, you know what, getting out of this debt is going to be beneficial for you because now you can afford a nicer, bigger home at $3,000 a month because you're not paying an extra $1,000 in consumer debt.
Okay. What are some common misconceptions about buying a house at our age?
I think a common misconception that we get is that you're going to buy your dream home right away. Right? I think
that's so true.
There are steps to this, and actually you helped me with this. When I was buying my house, is that buy within your means because this is just going to be your first stepping stool to the next home.
I think every every homeowner will move every like 5 to 7 years. And I know like as your family grows, you'll probably get a bigger house as well. I'm getting a house as well, but like I'm not buying my dream house right now. And number one, it's not smart because what would the mortgage on your dream house be, like what, 10K? That'd be insane, yeah. So, and then people often think they need like a massive down payment. Like what is like the average down payment you're seeing right now for a client?
Yeah, I mean, it really varies by client. I think for your typical non-veteran, right? Because if you're a veteran, you're putting 0% down most likely. For the person who's not a veteran, who say, you know, you went through college or you got out of high school, you started working, our down payment that we're seeing is usually about 3.5%. That's an FHA loan. It allows for, you know, less credit score, lower interest rates, less down payment. So 3.5%, but we're also mixing that up with, you know, down payment assistance programs that can cover that 3.5%. So realistically, people can come in with no down payment. That's what we're seeing.
I've seen that happen. You've actually done that multiple times for my clients. In your scenario, how did you prepare yourself to buy your house? Like,
I got some great advice when I was going to be buying my house. Think of it like weightlifting, right?
Okay.
When you're weightlifting and your first time in the gym, you're not going to go slap on 225 on the bench and then get under it right away. You have to build up those muscles. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to budgeting for a home, which is another common mistake that I see home buyers make, is that when I was budgeting for my home, I knew my mortgage payment was going to be, just say, $2,500 a month. Okay. Right? So every month as I'm, you know, earning income, at the time I was living at home, and so when I was doing that, I was putting aside an extra $2,500 a month just for the mortgage that I didn't have yet, but I was preparing my muscles and my budgeting to be able to adapt to that.
So your reserves, you were preparing your reserves, right?
Correct, yeah, I was preparing reserves.
How many like months of reserves were you preparing for that? Like 3, 6, 12?
Yeah, I think it's important that, you know, you're saving aggressively, right? You're living below your means, because when you buy your house, I still think that it's important for you to have anywhere between 3 to 6 months of reserves, meaning that if your payment is, you know, $1,000 a month, you're going to have at least $3,000 to $6,000 in your savings account after all the closing costs, after your down payment. That way you have a little bit of comfort between you and life.
And that way you're not as stressed as well. And you know, if you don't have a good month, especially if you're a business owner, you'll have one month you won't have the best month, but then the next month you will. But if you have the savings, you won't be as stressed. So that's one. What about the second thing?
Yeah, I think just researching. I think getting pre-approved early, I think would be the other good thing, where I spoke to a lender, which was my company, right?
Yeah.
I spoke to my company and I just kind of set myself up 6 months in advance. Like, hey, is there anything on my credit report that I'm not seeing that I could fix now that could help me down the road? Okay. So that's one other thing. And I think just doing your market research, right, is like talking to a real estate agent, seeing what areas you like in town, what areas you don't, versus, you know, jumping on, you know, an app right away and then wanting to go just see a home.
What made you go with your house that you went with right now?
The reason why I chose my home is because it was going to allow me to live in the area that I wanted to live. It was close to my parents, which was also going to be a big help for us down the road.
Yeah.
I was in the process of getting engaged and getting married. So the thing for me was, that's the only reason why I went new build, was because of the fact that it was going to give me, you know, 7 months before I had to actually make a payment.
Yeah.
Because during that time I was working, saving for the wedding, which is the only reason why I went new build. Because if not, you know, I would have been in a position to buy something else. But that was a reason why.
It's very important. When do you under contract when you buy your house?
I went under contract in March of 2023.
Okay. And then you closed on it in October. So you had how many months to prepare yourself?
Yeah, roughly about 6 or 7.
Do you think, like, how much did that help you dramatically? Having those 6 months to prepare yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
because your first house you ever bought.
Yeah. I think every scenario is different. I think for me, it was helpful because, like I said, I was saving for 2 things at the same time. I was saving for my house, but I was also saving for the wedding, which you know is not a cheap thing nowadays. And so that helped me tremendously. However, there are different scenarios where, you know, I didn't have a lease in place. I was living at home, so I wasn't in a rush to get out per se. But other people can be in different scenarios where, hey, your lease is coming up in 3 months, therefore new build isn't going to be, you know, the best option for you. It's better to find something already existing.
Do you feel like you got a better deal in a sense as far as value going the new build route rather than going like a house that's already built?
I think so. I think just the market itself.
Yeah.
Any home that I would have bought, I think would have appraised well. For me, if I'm being honest, I'm not a super hands-on, like, handy person. So new build was a good thing for me because there was not a whole lot that I needed to fix right away, right? And so I think the value in for me was it was going to be less stressful moving in. It was going to allow me to give me some time to save, but again, I was also not in a rush.
Okay. And then, how does someone know in their 20s if like buying a house or renting now like is more beneficial for them like, right now?
Yeah, I mean, I would say look at this is where you have to be very honest with yourselves, is, print out your last 2 months of your bank transactions, see what you're spending your money on. How much money do you have left over every month? Based off of, are you living rent-free right now? Are you, paying $1,500 a month in rent? Whatever the case is there additional extra? And can you, with self-discipline, budget for an extra monthly payment? I think that's a big thing because what I hate to see is that people who think that owning a home is the end-all be-all. Yeah. It will be a stage of your life. However, don't rush into it too quickly because that could actually be detrimental to you.
Have you had like some nightmares you've seen in some files where you've seen people like, they go sideways because they're rushing?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it makes our job a lot more stressful because, there's not a whole lot that we can do, especially if you're trying to move as quickly as possible. Yeah. We need to take time to verify everything and to vet everything out. And I think that can become, it can create issues during the loan process when, we don't take the proper time to explain things. We don't ask the right questions because everybody's moving so quickly.
What do you target the most here in Tucson?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's really two things that I really like to target here in Tucson. One is VA, the veteran community. We do a lot of veterans because of, Davis Mountain Air Force Base.
Well,
a couple minutes from our office here. Best friend is in the military. So those are things that I like to, go after here in Tucson. The other thing is those first-time home buyers, especially the younger demographic, people who are recently getting out of college. That's another niche that I really like because I can relate to them. Right? Yeah. I know the pressures of, being young, trying to buy a house, just finishing college, and then trying to also get married. Like, I know that pressure, so I think it can help me relate to them a lot easier, and it can help me guide them a little bit better.
It's very common, like people graduate, house, yeah, it's very common. And then, is there anything else you want to let the audience know?
Yeah, I mean, if you are looking to obviously buy a home or, you're thinking about home ownership, reach out to Andres, reach out to me. We'd love to sit down with you guys or, do a consultation with you. Like I said, the earlier you can start, the better. Even if you're, 1-2 years out, have a conversation with us because there are things that we can probably help guide you in now that can actually be more beneficial to you down the road and help you, set up for success.
Last thing, what's been the best part about being a lender in the past 3 years you've been in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, you see it all over my social media, is just the congratulations to the clients, right? Like when I was, and we laughed about it because you were going into med school before you actually got, I don't think people know, but you were going into med school before you got into real estate. I went the business route because it was cheaper than becoming a doctor.
That's true.
For me, it was another way to be able to help people and be a part of somebody's story, and that we could do it on so many different levels.
Okay, awesome. Well, you guys heard it here. Go ahead and what's your Instagram?
My Instagram is CSalz.
And then
CSALZ.
What about your Facebook?
Caleb Salazar.
Hope you guys liked it. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think. Thank you.